are students of IMI New Delhi, and as a part of our curriculum, my teammates and I have done a strategic analysis on the hospitality and tourism industry of India. The reason why we've selected this industry is because the pandemic has confronted the hospitality industry with an unprecedented challenge. While the hospitality industry is slowly recovering, the COVID-19 crisis continues to exert profound impacts on how hospitality businesses operate. Hospitality businesses are expected to make substantial changes to their operations in the COVID-19 business environment in order to ensure employees' and customers' health and safety and enhance customers' willingness to patronize their business. To begin with a small introduction on the industry, the Indian tourism and hospitality industry has emerged as one of the key drivers of growth among the services sector in India. Tourism is also a potentially large employment generator besides being a significant source of foreign exchange for the country. In fiscal year 2020, 39 million jobs were created in the tourism sector in India. This accounted for roughly 8% of the total employment in the country, and this number is expected to rise by 2% per annum to 52.3 million jobs by 2028. Talking of a brief timeline of the tourism and hospitality industry in India, in the pre-1919 era, the National Tourism Policy was announced in 1982. The government formulated a comprehensive plan in 1988 to promote tourism in India. In the period between 1990 and 2000, various states in India declared tourism as an industry. The government stressed on public-private partnership in the sector. In the period between 2000 to 2005, a national policy on tourism was announced in 2002, focusing on developing a robust infrastructure in India. Also, online travel portals and low-cost carrier airlines gave a boost to domestic tourism. In the post-2015, the government has undertaken various marketing initiatives to attract tourists. E-tourist visas were launched, and a total of 2.93 million foreign tourists arrived on the e-tourist visa in 2019, registering a growth of 23.6%. In November 2018, India attained third position in the world tourism sector after China and USA. Talking about the market size, India is the most digitally advanced traveler nation in terms of digital tools being used for planning, booking, and experiencing a journey. India's rising middle class and increasing disposable income has supported the growth of domestic and outbound tourism. During 2019, foreign tourist arrivals, that is the FTAs in India, stood at 10.89 million, achieving a growth rate of 3.2% year-on-year. During this year, FEEs from tourism increased 4.8% year-on-year to approximately $29.96 billion. International hotel chains are increasing their presence in the country, and it will account for around 47% share in the tourism and hospitality sector of India by 2020 and 50% by 2022. Talking about the segments of tourism and hospitality industry in India, we begin with the accommodation and catering segment. The accommodation could include hotels, motels, apartments, camps, guest houses, lodge, bed and breakfast establishments, and so on. In addition, tourists would also require catering facilities which include hotels, local restaurants, roadside joints, cafeterias, and retail outlets that serve food and beverages. The next segment is the transportation segment, which comprises of airline companies, cruise services, railways, car rentals, and more. Coming to the next segment, which is the attraction segment. This is another major component of the travel and tourism industry, and this includes theme parks and natural attractions, including scenic locations, cultural and educational attractions, monuments, events, and medical, social, or professional causes. Coming to travel agents, this is a fragmented sector with several independent travel agents and many online businesses. They also sell associated products such as insurance, car hire, and currency exchange. The last segment of the tourism and hospitality industry is a tour operator segment, and this offers customized tours, including travel, accommodation, and sightseeing. Next, my colleague Shubham will continue with the presentation.
Moving on to the critical success factors that have fueled the growth for the hospitality and tourism industry, starting with infrastructure. More than half of Ministry of Tourism's budget in India is channelized for funding the development of destinations, circuits, mega projects, as well as rural tourism infrastructure projects. The growing demand is fueled by several niche offerings such as medical tourism and ecotourism that are expected to create more demand. By 2029, India's tourism sector is expected to reach 35 trillion rupees, accounting for 9.2% of the total economy. Next is rising FDI. International hotel brands are targeting India. Hospitality majors are entering into tie-ups to penetrate deeper into the market. These strategic alliances are there to improve their reach and market share by launching loyalty programs aimed at integrating, rewarding, and the customers and the hotels both. Lastly, the policy support. The Government of India is developing 17 iconic tourist sites in India into world-class destinations as conveyed in the Union Budget of 2019-20. These include the Statue of Unity, the Chotayu Nature Park in Kerala, etc. Next, we move on to the PESTEL analysis for this industry, which is the assessment of the external environment in which the whole industry is functioning. It is of no doubt that the hotel industry is one of the largest in the world, and the growth in the number of luxury hotels is now larger than ever. So, moving on to the first point, the political factors. The political factors in today's environment, which is in the pandemic, has imposed travel bans that can kill the hotel and tourism industry. The government has a strong hold over the hotel industry. For instance, if the political party in power sets a travel ban as currently, it could hurt the tourism and hotel industry immediately. The more open a government is towards tourism laws, the larger the amount of tax it withdraws from the hotel industry also. Next is tax reforms. Another thing that the government controls are taxes. Luxury and high-grade hotels like ITC and Novotel could put that save towards building more accommodations for guests. The introduction of GST in India has improved the restaurant business while hammering down on hospitality. Second point is the economic factors. The economic downtrend has affected spending capacity of the people in general, and this has resulted in the poor performance by most of the firms in the hospitality industry. Tailoring to patterns in varying locations, hotel chains are improving profits and revenue by acquiring worldwide resorts. It goes through economic cycles first and comes out first. Whether it comes out successfully depends on a few primary factors, including unemployment rates, job growth, and travel spend. Next, we move on to the socio-cultural factors. The growing gender, ethnic, and cultural diversity in the workforce creates a challenge and opportunities invariably to every industry. The current generation has shown a trend towards traveling. This is further fueled by social media platforms where people can exchange their experiences and thereby create peer pressure to travel. Hotels are also becoming more accepting of different classes of people and are ensuring they are better equipped to serve the necessities. Many hotels are also providing discounts and other offers to ensure that people are able to afford longer and more luxurious stay. Our main point in focus, which is the technological factors, has that hotels have become more and more technologically friendly in recent times. Almost all of the new hotels are fitted with CCTV cameras to provide security and other features that make the guest stay more comfortable. Online booking facilities, either directly or through third-party apps, has helped the booking rate of hotels. Make My Trip, Yatra, and other sites like Trivago have disrupted the technologically before start of the pandemic. Fast sharing news thanks to the internet, because of any incidents that are close to the hotel, can be provided within minutes. Traveling websites also forces hotels to remain competitive. Travel websites have made it easier for people to price shop hotels. Next is we have are the legal factors. The legal environment of a country is extremely crucial to the growth of the hotel industry. Almost all countries now have discrimination laws in place, which has benefited the tourism industry and in turn the hotel industry. There are also compliances that all hotels need to meet. These include safety and health laws, among others. Hotels are also becoming stricter in terms of the identification before allowing a guest to use their facilities, as there is an impending rise of crime and terrorism across the world. Lastly, we have the environmental factors that affect the hotel and any other industry as well. From managing ecological impact to waste management, the weather in the local area also is the deciding factor for whether someone chooses to stay at a certain hotel. This isn't something that the hotel owners can control, but they must understand the seasonal differences before pricing their rooms and adjust accordingly. Hotels are now being put under a lot of pressure by both the governments and environmental activists also to ensure a minimal carbon footprint. Since this industry uses massive amount of disposable items, it can be the cause of serious environmental concerns. Various international hotel chains are shifting towards more biodegradable items to counter the climate crisis. Thank you.
ITC Hotels. ITC Hotels is the second greatest hotel network in India with more than 100 hotels. It is additionally the selective franchisee of Starwood Hotels and Resort Luxury Collection in India, settled at the headquarters of Hotel Division at the ITC Green Centre in Gurgaon, Haryana. It is regularly voted amongst the best employers in Asia in the hospitality sector. Corporate strategy of ITC. ITC Limited entered the lodging business on 18 October 1975 with a kick-off in hotel in Chennai. Represented by its particular Namaste logo, ITC Hotels incorporated India's fine custom of friendliness with universally benchmarked administrations. Some of the ITC hotels include ITC Grand Bharat Gurgaon, ITC Moya New Delhi, ITC Royal Bengal Kolkata, Fortune Park Bella Casa Jaipur. Organizational structure of ITC. The growth of a sensitive corporate system that is dedicated to quality is one of the most important issues faced by lodging managers today. To accomplish the aims of the organization, the structure of positions and offices that make up every company must be guided. Managers have a hotel and lodging structure through work specialization, coordination, and the development of authority patterns and controls plans. Let's come now to the future strategies of ITC. As a part of the strategy to boost its hospitality business, the diversified company ITC aims to open 40 new hotels, adding about 5,000 rooms over a period of time. In the next 3.5 years, it is planning on opening 10 new hotels under its current expansion program. ITC hospital chain has nearly 100 properties in 70 locations and about 9,000 rooms under 4 brands: ITC Hotels, Welcome Hotel, Fortune, and Welcome Heritage. In the near term, ITC has 10 new hotels in separate building phases, 9 of which are in India and 1 is in Sri Lanka. The Colombo property is ITC's first overseas project and is being undertaken by a wholly owned subsidiary in Sri Lanka. SWOT analysis of ITC Hotels. Strengths. One of the most seasoned 5-star hotel in India, favored by countless travelers. Amenities given are cutting edge and are of exceptionally high quality. It has New Delhi's most great banquet setting. Weakness. Prices are higher than other 5-star hotels, at least in New Delhi. They appear to depend on their past laurels and are not taking any new activities to fulfill their clients. Opportunities. Acquisitions, asset leverage, innovation, emerging markets, and expansion abroad. Threats. Competition, economic slowdown, external changes, price wars, etc. McKinsey's 7S Strategy. Place building recognition of antiquated traditions. Distinctive logo of hands folded in the conventional collapsed in the customary Namaste. Branded food. Structure. Principles of corporate governance received by the organization. Leadership inside ITC is practiced at three levels. System believes that organizations exist to serve bigger cultural objectives. Shared values, customer focus, excellence, innovation, nation orientation. Skills, manufacturing, marketing, HR, and finance. Style, company facilities, protection of confidential information, avoidance of conflict of interest. Staff, only coordinately chain to have interesting developer. Over to Utkarsh.
Now let's talk about the brand Novotel. Novotel is a hotel brand focused on modern, natural and intuitive design and known by Accor as well as the company's flagship property. Created in 1967 in France, the company grew into what became the Accor Group in 1983. And Novotel remained a pillar brand of Accor's multi-brand strategy. As of now, Novotel manages 492 hotels in 59 countries. Since 2010, Novotel also includes the apartment hotel brand Novotel Suites with 35 hotels worldwide. The first Novotel was launched in Lille, France in 1967. In 2018, Novotel opened in Seoul its 500th hotel worldwide. Now let's have a look at the corporate strategy of Novotel. Accor Group opens a hotel every 29 hours. The plan of Accor is to promote the creation of hotels both through organic growth and acquisition. In regional terms, Accor Group focuses more on improving its role in markets where it is already a leader. Accor takes a more selective approach to future growth based on leisure, lifestyle resorts, and residential development. Now let's have a look at the present market share of Novotel. With 81,000 rooms, of which 89% under management contracts and franchisee agreements are under Novotel. Acquisition of the Fairmont Raffles Hotels International Group with 98% support at the shareholders meeting of July 12, 2016. Acquisition of 100% of One Fine Stay, world leader in luxury serviced home rentals, and 79% of John Paul, world leader in concierge services. Now let's have a look at what future strategies Novotel is working on. Firstly, it is setting up new features which includes clients, personnel and management altogether. Second, change in strategic position where customer is more important than a product, change in the logo and also the brand identity. And thirdly, obtaining external shareholder support in order to proceed with planned projects. Let's do a SWOT analysis for Novotel. Starting with their strengths, it includes their network, their business model, guest connection, and loyalty programs. Talking about their weaknesses, the first weakness is losing to online organizations like Airbnb and Oyo Rooms. Second weakness is focus on diversification like Fairmont, Banyan Tree, and Raffles have endured because of absence of satisfactory consideration. Talking about the opportunities they have a growth in arising economies. Within infiltration like Novotels, they can design bundles for the clients. Talking about the threats they have, competition from groups like Starwood Hotels, Hilton Hotels, and so on is a constant threat for Novotel. Highly serious market represents a consistent danger and builds interest for development and contribution. Thirdly, the worldwide monetary condition can hamper deals in extravagance and upscale fragments.
Yes, talking about the disruptions in the industry. Obviously, COVID had caused a lot of problems to a lot of businesses, but one of the most affected industry was the travel and tourism. Here, due to the stern government offense against the spread of coronavirus, luxury properties across the country were reporting abysmal footfalls. Five-star hotels in the capital such as ITC Maurya, the Taj Palace, and which used to usually have 20 to 30 guests per day, were having these in the month. So, prompting the closure of these restaurants and properties led to a lot of loss for these businesses. Considering the Bukhara ITC property which had 412 rooms, so investing so much and facing so much difficulty during the COVID obviously put a lot of pressure on these companies. So these led to a lot of cut in the salaries and deductions. the occupancy rate had dropped more than 65-70%. So, and we can see that due to technology also there was a lot of disruption causing in these industries. Travel and tourism encourages its customers to go out and experience on the scheme, but there are a lot of technological improvements nowadays that include extrasensory experience like the artificial reality and the virtual reality. And here the person gets to sit at home without traveling, without having to spend on anything, but just the technology, he can have an experience of traveling to places. And coming to the hyper personalized experience, here nowadays the companies use technology to target persons specifically, so catering to his needs wherever they are. This gives not a lot of room for exploring for the person. So only when a person is motivated to explore, he is really into getting into travel and tourism. And here the beyond automated experience, here is where just the automation, not just the automation, but they use artificial intelligence. Here you can see a lot of restaurants in Japan, latest one even in the Kochi, they are using robots to serve their customers, to serve their needs. Though a robot can't completely replace a human being, this is taking place and the human interaction is reducing. So this is a shift in the technological area which is causing a lot of disarray in the travel and tourism, replacing the human needs. One of the a good example is Airbnb, a pretty famous company for lodging. Here this company, when it started, it had disrupted a lot of businesses in terms of stays. This used Internet of Things, this company, and made the fullest use of it, and had connected a lot of restaurants chains and linked it directly to the customer where he could compare the prices and the needs. This increased the competition by folds, and Airbnb took a monopoly in the place where it had started. So talking about the next slide, my friend Shubham will continue.
So now we would like to give some recommendations to the tourism and hospitality industry for their better revival post-COVID. Firstly, is to build the trust and confidence in their customers. Many of these hotels and resorts used to give their rooms as quarantine centers to the people traveling coming from abroad or traveling interstate. So people are not very much sure what was the sanitization methods that these places are following, or what about the hygiene protocols that are being followed, whether social distancing and all is being followed at tourism spots or not. So if the tourism sector as a whole advertise what are the sanitization methods they are following, the cleanliness, the social distancing rules that they are following, it would help build the confidence of the travelers, and yeah, obviously they would go out to visit those places. Next is to work in niche tourism. Niche tourism is a facet wherein people segregate, like there is a market segmentations, and they focus on a particular set of market. So today we can like target the youth, because after staying at home in quarantine for quite a long time, everyone wants to explore the places around them, but they are afraid of traveling abroad. Domestic places, nearby places, they want to explore more than going far off or traveling abroad. So people can explore nearby places. All the tourism spots can attract the near tourists, or maybe nearby countries can also explore like tourism activities among themselves. Suppose India can partner with Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka or Maldives to explore different adventure tourism circuit adventures among themselves. Next is to establish air bubbles and corridors between different countries. Like we have seen during the pandemic time, India had established air bubbles with UK and US. So in that way people were able to travel between these countries, made for business purpose, made for going back to the family, or maybe for tourism purpose. So establishing travel bubbles between like countries who are having like almost same kind of COVID impact or recovery rate and all, that would really be helpful for the tourism sector. Next is going with the technology. Like most of the tourism sector, airline industries, they spend a lot on call centers and all. So getting hands-on technology such as Rubik, it's a tech startup that offered during the pandemic. Instead of like people calling the call center, it was helping the airlines in the refund process and rebooking and all. So these are some of the methods. If that can be touched upon by the industry itself, it may help in the healthy and faster revival. Thank you.